Award-winning technology company and API specialist, Sensedia helps companies to become more digital, connected and open, whether integrating channels, enabling partner ecosystems, or creating modern multi-cloud hybrid architectures. Innovative companies rely on Sensedia to provide expert services and to rapidly integrate their legacy systems. With over 800 employees supporting clients around the world in offices across Europe, Latin America and the United States, Sensedia posted an impressive revenue growth of over 70% last year. We're here today with Sensedia's head of EMEA, Gibson Nascimento. Thank you so much for joining us, Gibson.
Thank you, Joy, for having me.
So firstly, I'd ask you, what is banking as a service and how does it work within an open banking environment?
Banking as a service, it's a way that banks have to enable their digital platforms and provide them to a broader and wider ecosystem. The main benefit or one of the objectives of banking as a service is to enable banks to create ecosystems and generate new revenue streams. And just to give an example of that, we quite often we are seeing now retailers that behind the scenes have a bank, and the retailer it's actually providing banking services, but behind the scenes there's a bank. And myself, you as a consumer, we don't even know that that exists. Open banking, it's something a bit bigger, and banking as a service has an important role into that. At this stage, I would say that we are quite familiar with open banking. It was globally rolled out in 2021, but it started a bit before that with the PSD2 regulation. And just to give an idea of the main phases of open banking, it started with the exposure of accounts, so customers' information and some of the banking services. And then the next phase was much more focused on security, making sure that the transactions were properly secure and that especially the data of the account holders were properly saved. As a next step of open banking, we are talking about open finance, which is to broaden this ecosystem and bring even more players from insurance, from wealth management, from different industries to join this much bigger ecosystem.
Now, what do companies have to have in place in order to provide banking as a service?
That's a good question. So first of all, banks, they have to become enterprise or composable enterprises. The idea of this composability is to change the way that banks provide or that they create their applications and the way that they expose them. The benefit is that instead of keep building big monolith applications, banks will build reusable components. These reusable components or composable components, as we used to say, Gartner, the market specialist, researcher specialist, they define these as packaged business components. So those are components that are built once, reusable multiple times, and then can be exposed throughout different channels. Then technically speaking, it's a service that is reused. And then what banks have to do to become these composable enterprises, it's first understand what is their vision for the future from a business perspective, what they are trying to achieve. Do they want to create an ecosystem? Do they want to become platform providers? And understand what is the architecture that they have to build or to rebuild, because sometimes they do have something very reliable in place, but they need to rethink something to support that set of business goals that they want to do. So then in a nutshell, it's about aligning business and technology to be able to expose those services.
And what role does Sensedia play in helping clients on their open banking journey?
The way that we work with our customers, it's by providing them this support to review their architecture, to then align that with their business goals, and ultimately being able to expose those services to external parties. In terms of APIs, exposing those services, we also help our customers to design their API strategy, because APIs being one of the most important elements of this connected world. So we help our customers to design their strategy, but also we provide them with a tool that helps them to expose those APIs in a secure way. On the other side, we are also helping regulators with the definition of these regulations, and also with the validation, creation of use cases, test cases. So then, playing on both sides, we help these definitions to be created, but also we help our customers to validate and to build up this ecosystem of open banking or banking as a service, depending on the way that they're trying to go.
Okay, and can you give me an example of the kind of work that Sensedia does?
Sure, absolutely. I could mention a few, but would like to highlight on Banco Original. Banco Original being the very first Brazilian bank who provided fully 100% digital account, being a personal and corporate account, we help them to remodel their architecture, to change their components, and then being able to expose their services to the wider ecosystem. So we help them to redesign this digital journey, enabling this completely digital transformation for them. And to give an idea of numbers, when they started that journey back in 2019, we were not even talking about open banking at that stage. They used to have 700,000 accounts. In a couple of years, they managed to increase that to nearly or over 600%. So being able to reach much more customers, much more clients by changing the way that they used to do bank.
Gibson Nascimento, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me today, John.